Hey everyone, today we're doing some of that. Is it a myth? Is it a misconception? What's this kind of controversy kind of topic series here for this year? Now, the one we're going to do today kind of figured we'd start with a lot of what a lot of people say in deferring about what we should do with our body, different body parts and whatnot when it comes to shooting. So figured just go top down. So we're first to cover our eyes. And a lot of people really, when it comes about it, some people say, well, you should close an eye and only use one eye, you should leave both eyes open and things like that. And some people argue that, well, the both eye thing, it's only for like self-defense and whatever, but not for actual shooting and whatnot. And obviously, of course, if that were true, we would care about it because we're truly just thinking about self-defense. But it really doesn't necessarily cover that. Now, when you think about it, obviously closing an eye and only using one eye, it goes back to precision shooting, the long range shooting with like using a scope or something like that, where obviously you're focusing on something way far away or something maybe still a decent distance away, or just something small that you're trying to focus on. And so then maybe you're gonna close an eye, or because you have a scope, you're gonna have the scope there and you're closing an eye so you can focus on whatever it is, especially because if the scope's giving you magnification or something like that, and you're not caring about whatever else is going on. But when you think about whether it's your concealed carry handgun and the distances you're going to shoot there, or maybe an AR, for whatever reason you might be using that, home defense or anything else, you want to have both eyes open, whether it's self-defense or anything else, because you're wanting to take in as much information as you can. Now, just in general, say we're just shooting and it's at a range or at a competition or something like that, we're gonna have multiple targets. And so if we're, on an AR or on a pistol and we're shooting, we're focusing on the one target we're shooting, we want to know and have all the information of where these other targets are that we're gonna be shooting at, so then we can transition and things like that. And when we close an eye, you're really thinking about roughly you're losing about 30 to 40% of your vision. Whichever eye you're closing, you're not seeing whatever's going on. Can't see my hand right now. Can't see it right there. And if we translate that into whether it's regular shooting or competition or something like that, can't see where those other targets are, right? Or the self-defense situation, I can't see if I'm focused on one threat potentially in my peripheral. I can't see that. Maybe there's another threat over here, or maybe there's another good guy, concealed carry holder, or law enforcement or something like that that's showing up. And if I don't see them because I have an eye closed, something might be happening to me because they're coming out of the situation trying to figure out who the bad guy is. Whereas if I can see maybe peripheral vision, especially with both eyes open, then I can address it and say, hey, no, that's the bad guy, concealed carry, whatever you're going to use to identify yourself as a good guy. Another also reason is we've got a lot of other people around whatever situation that's going on that you're dealing with. You want to make sure that maybe while you're focused on the threat, you have both eyes open so that maybe someone's running around and they obviously just in the mess and in the scariness of everything going on don't realize what's fully going on, where maybe shots are being fired from, whatever, and they might end up running right in front of you or something like that. And if you have, an eye closed and you're focused on, the threat or whatever, you might not see them literally until they're like right here, which is basically pretty much close to being right in front of your gun. Whereas if you have both eyes open and whatnot, you can see a lot more of people once they're coming from way over here or way over there, and you can, either step in front or, get around them or whatever you might need so that you can have that full thing. It's an important thing that you're wanting to have, is just as much information as you can, and it kind of is counterintuitive if you're limiting yourself and you're cutting down your 100% that you can be taking from. Another thing is really in the self-defense situation is when you're right there in the moment, you might not really have the faculties that you can on your own actually close an eye, because your brain is really obviously understanding it's some type of situation, it's life or death and whatever, and they're just trying to grab as much information as possible. So they're gonna just keep those eyes open and whatnot, right? In that immediate instance. Obviously, if you have a little bit more wherewithal or whatnot, potentially you'll be able to actually choose to close an eye or whatnot. But it's not something you necessarily want to do. A big factor, I think, that influences a lot of people, whether it's instructors telling you, hey, you should close an eye, or someone thinking to themselves, oh, I should close an eye, is when we talk about eye dominance. So just like we have a strong hand and a support hand, right? We have basically a strong eye and a support eye. Both eyes, really, when we're looking around, we're able to see a full vision and whatnot. But our primary, eye is going to be, one or the other. Sometimes it's usually the same side as your dominant hand, but other times it can be cross. Well, I think a lot of instructors or just a lot of people, when they've been told about this and they figure out, oh, I am the same eye or I'm cross eye or whatever, I should be, when I'm, lining up sights or scope or whatever, an optic, I should be closing that eye so I can be lined up, or closing that eye so I can be lined up. And the problem with that is that eye dominance is important because obviously you do want to know, and you're going to realize really it doesn't matter if your one eye is closed or both eyes are open. You are going to line your sights up behind that eye that's primary, but it's again limiting in what's going on with you being able to intake information. So like literally, if I have both eyes open, right, I'm still lining up those sights really behind that one eye, right? If I'm closing an eye, it really isn't changing my actual sights being lined up. And, if I'm, a different, then it'd be lining up behind that one, right? But that's the thing, is really you're still going to bring it to where it lines up with your primary eye. So there's not a full instance where you want to really close an eye or whatever. Now, you can get double vision, and so some people might just like squint a little bit, right? Or close it for a second and bring it back open so they can realize which is, the primary double vision. But in all, guys, really honestly, you want to have both eyes open. Whatever is going on, whether it's just simple shooting or an actual self-defense situation, you want to be able to take as much information as possible as you can. And really, that's what it comes down to, is when we can have as much information as possible with what's going on in the situation, whether it's with a threat, another threat, friendlies around, or just bystanders, whatnot, that is truly what's going to help with bettering your reactive defense.